Welcome to another episode of Reminiscences, which as usual we speak to our senior citizens on their experiences in life, on the lessons that all of us can learn from. Today we have the special pleasure to speak to Chief Ayo Adebanjo, who is a chieftain of the Afenifere grouping. And we're here in his house in Lekki, in Lagos. Chief Adebanjo, thank you for giving us this audience.
It's a pleasure.
Let me start by saying you are probably the oldest practicing politician in Nigeria. I don't know if there are any people with your own pedigree.
I have a senior in the north.
Tanko Yakase? Yakase? Tanko Yakase?
Tanko Yakase.
Yes.
Yeah, we were together when he was in the when he was Aminu Kano.
Yes.
In the First Republic.
Yes.
He was the radical. Yes.
He's
95 now.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just 93.
Yeah. But 93 is not just. But people like you and him, I think he seems to have sort of retired, if I'm not wrong. But you seem to be very active in politics. You seem not to believe in retirement.
Yes, you're very right. If the atmosphere and the conditions of the country have been right, I have no right to still be in the trenches. But the circumstances of Nigeria, particularly those of us who took part in the fight for independence, what we fought for, what we hope to achieve, and what we achieved before independence and after, before the military coup, we find it difficult to see. Shall we leave the country like this? If you have had young men who share our view, our vision for a peaceful, united Nigeria, irrespective of ethnicity, religions, and everything, as we hope for, when the independence of this country was negotiated in 1954. I have no right to be here. I have no right at all. But it's just sad that I've got the young men who could say, I'm drawn from our ambition to keep this country where it should be.
So are you disappointed with all the young men who are governors, senators, members of the House of Reps, even from the Southwest, which is your main constituency?
The whole country, the whole thing changed when the military came in 1966. They disrupted the system. The military intervention was a sad instrument for Nigeria. We had our differences, we had disagreed, we talked, we only judge, we didn't kill ourselves. It was no fight to finish. We argue, eventually we come to. But when the military came, all those who are causing the confusion in the country today were products of post-1966 coup, including the head of state. When we were fighting for independence, he was still in primary school. He didn't know what the tradition had led to it, what compromises that we made to say that we stay together. We are very conscious that we are a country of diverse ethnicity, religious, culture, political, and all that. But we can still reconcile ourselves. And that was why in the first the constitution we made, you know, we have customary court in the south. You have
Sharia
in the north. When we are making that constitution, no, that shouldn't be a problem. Under a federal system, you have this autonomy there. Keep your Sharia, you keep a customary court. That was what they had. All this question of whatever could divide us were all negotiated in London before Lord Chandos. He was then Secretary of State for the colonies. After the crisis in the Federal House in 1953, at Tafawa Balewa, when Chief Enahoro made the motion for self-government, at that time, the clamor by the NCNC was a unitary form of government. This doesn't go well with Sardauna. Unitary form of government? With you people, we are so advanced and we are low. So when we said we wanted self-government for Nigeria in 1996, we said, no, count me out. He didn't support that motion. You know, the young men of the South, with this question of political enthusiasm, because he didn't support it, when he came out of parliament at that time, and they hooted him. It's a common thing among us in the South, which is very unnice. It's an anathema in your culture. I'm only telling you why, what we went through. They will say, oh, no, is that what I'm going to do in Nigeria? Araba, I don't want to go. Then he made a 9-point program saying it's not going to be part of Nigeria. At that time, Chief Awolowo was talking of federalism is the only thing that can keep us together. We are not a nation. We are a nation of different ethnicities. The Yoruba is a nation, the Hausa is a nation, Igbo is a nation, Ijaw is a nation, and so on and so forth. But we have come together under a federal system, where every ethnicity, every region, every country will develop at its own space. That is practically the meaning of federalism. All over the world. And those of them who care, if they are not so educated, they can read history. In America, in Australia, in India, even when India got its independence, Pakistan was part of it. And when they separated Pakistan, Bangladesh came out, all because of cultural differences until they had peace. This is what is happening. When you have a nation of diverse, what we call multilingual, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multicultural, you can't settle under one system.
But I thought that's what federalism is all about. Federalism means that people can develop at their own pace. But then there's a federal structure.
We have a federal structure where we agree to what power we give to that set of government.
Yes.
To keep us together. And you see, many of us are just serious about this thing. We must not forget that we are not together willingly. It was the colonialists that brought us together in 1914. Not with the consent of anybody. They brought us together for their own interest. But since we have been brought together, many of us have appreciated the value of a big country. That is why Awolowo wrote the book in 1947. Said that, oh, we are good, but you can't run us on one center. If you care to read the book, Path to Nigerian Freedom, he wrote in 1947. That's why I said Nigeria is not a country, it's not a nation. It's a geographical expression. But we can come together under a system by which we can live together in peace, conceding to each area their own specialty or peculiarities. How fast did he do that? He brought us together, it caused the crisis. Then Lord Chandos, the colonial secretary, when the crisis came, and the Western region withdrew his own minister from the cabinet, that was the beginning of the crisis. they sent us to London.
But sir, many people will say that since 1999, in spite of the colonial imposition, in spite of the military rule, there has been democracy in Nigeria since 1999. Are you not satisfied with the progress made by all these governments, beginning with Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, Jonathan, and now Buhari?
My dear,
what's wrong with all these governments?
When they say you are coming, I was very happy. Because what? I want people who can talk freely and honestly. I'm not going to talk politics. I'm not going to talk to please anybody. I'm going to talk to reality, to show sincerity. We have never accepted this constitution of 1999. Don't forget. I have already been saying this constitution is a fraud. Why? We don't make it. In 1966, when the military came in, they set aside the independence constitution, yes, which was negotiated. And mind you, sir, the problem we're having now are all the problems introduced in 1966 by the military, by a section of the country dominated only by the Fulanis and the Muslims. Don't overlook that. It is an attempt to overlook that. No, we are all Nigeria. We are deceiving ourselves. These are the things that we settled in London, Sardauna, Awolowo, Azikiwe, Balewa, Aminu Kano, and Mbadiwe, and all the prominent leaders. We went there. Then Los Santos asked us, what's the problem? We agree there. I want to refer people, journalists like you, to go to history. It was the argument at that conference that converted Azikiwe. I want to tell you a story whether you like it or not. Before that conference, Awolowo and Sardauna, they are like this. Because he said them, no, don't have to go. The constitution we're asking for, you have your autonomy. You rule yourself. And that was what came into 1954. And if you look into history, before 1954, under McPherson Constitution, there was no premiership. It was when they fought for that concession of federalism in 1954 that premiership was created. And the function of each state or region was written in a separate constitution with the autonomy in the region. And she found out all this nonsense. I'm not going to the center. Because the power is in the region. He says, that's so. If you remember, Sardauna was the leader of the MPC. He's the leader of the majority party that won. He should have gone to the center. But for Shifawlo, he said, no, there's nothing there. If you want to serve your people, if you say, I'm not going there, I'm going to be in the Western region as premier. That was why Sardauna stayed in Western region. And you can check this one historically. By the time they are coming back from that conference, this is why I feel sad when people are now turning us in street, turning us sort of story. It was on the return of that conference that Dr. Azikiwe, who was a unitarist, not it, before they went to the conference, became a federalist. And I've often referred journalists to the Daily Times of 1954 after the return from that conference. It was at the airport that Dr. Azikiwe said, federalism is imperative. As a result of the concession we have made, there will be peace, local government, revenue allocation and derivation, state police, all these things that is causing confusion now settled. To the extent that each region or state or unit of the federation has the power to establish foreign embassy. If you go to it, you know that at that time, Chief Aulo exercised the power under that federal system to create an embassy in London as the Western Nigeria office at 15A Kensington Palace Gardens. They were really cleaning, they did not follow. Abdulkadir was then the first one. Then the East followed. Then they are seeing the enjoyment. When Aulo introduced the scholarship, 200 every year, we never went through the colonial office to look for the universities, nor through the federal government. The colonial master, the ancestor, so whenever are you going to get the admission for your students? They don't worry. It was our office in London that was looking for universities in Britain, America, in Russia. You guys know, anywhere they can get in Russia, in China, they will go.
So, Chief, let's accept your criticism of the 1999 Constitution. I say, if we accept your critique of the 1999 Constitution, if we accept it,
1999?
No, the 1999 Constitution.
1999?
Yes.
I don't accept it.
No, if we accept your critique of it, if we accept that you are right about it being wrong,
yes.
What do you want to see?
What do
you want to see? What kind of Nigeria do you want to see now?
No.
What arrangement in detail do you want to?
Thank you. I've said this. Don't forget, it was when the military said they are going back to the barracks. I said, okay, thank you. You came in and did this constitution. When they are going back to the barracks now, send us back to the constitution you met us. Simple.
So 1966, you want us to go back to
1960.
No?
To 1960.
60?
It was 1966, they changed it. It was when they left that they want to give us another constitution, which was made by Abacha and General Salam eventually, who handed over to Obasanjo. So let us follow this historically.
But people have said it's practically difficult for you now to collapse the 36-state structure.
That is the mistake you are making.
And go back to
That's
three
the mistake you are
regions.
making. That's the mistake everybody's. And I will say, even the Enlightenment are pretense. We are not going back to 3 regions. Who created the 36 states? Is it our own?
The military did over time.
By whom?
By the military over time.
Hence I say what? For the Constitution. If you are going to have a federal system, each federating unit must be autonomous. They will be complementary to the federal government, not supplementary. So by the time you have 36 states, you are bringing in unity form of government through the back door.
But how many units do you want to see? How many federating units do you see?
Let us have the ratio for my reading. In a federation, if you read Aulo's book and on federalism, what we are taking that it must be based on linguistic and linguistic principle. You say the Yoruba, you know who are they. You say the Hausa, you know who are they. You say the Igbo, you know who are they. You say the Ijaws, you know who are they. And all those small parties which they confuse people with. Oh, you know how many people are in the Southern Kaduna? Several ethnic groups in South. You group all those minorities together, where in a region where none will be supervised.
But are you sure they want to be grouped?
Yes.
Are you determining for them?
No,
whether they actually...
No. That's why I say I don't want to use the word that we do because I know those who are confusing people, they are just being mischievous. Why do you say we should have a conference?
No, but sir, the problem is real. You have 250 ethnic groups.
I agree
Some
with
of
you.
them, if you now say, let's say Benue State,
That is
if you now say the Tiv and the
that is the
Idoma
case, my dear.
are going to be one
That
group,
is the case.
they may not agree.
You leave that to them. For instance, when we got independence, there were only 3 regions. At that time, we are not talking of regions. Our was talking of states. The minorities must have their states. It was that agitation. You see, in a program like this, it's like writing the history of Nigeria. And those of us who know about it, it pinches us when people confuse the issue. Before they went to the conference, you can't have a federation where one unit is bigger than the 2 others put together. There must be creation of states. It was that creation of states we are advocating that made the action group popular in the East and in the North. I happen to know this. And that was why in Akwa Ibom, Cross River, and those areas, we won the election in 1954 there. Saying that, if you remember, those who are in the East, they remember that it's called states forever. Those states we are calling Cross River, Ayesta, Akwa Ibom. In that area, they are calling for core state, Calabar, Ogoja, River State, to be separated from the Eastern region. As a result of our own agitation at the conference. And in the North, if you remember Maito from Ilori, and then Taka from the Middle Belt, those are the people who say we are not Fulani. So this was a combination of action group Middle Belt region that gave us representation in all the parliament of the First Republic. And I say this on record to be contradicted by anybody.
So you think an ethnic federation is possible?
Hold on. Get these stories clear.
Yes.
We mentioned that led to what we say it must be created to give sense of belonging to the federation. You must have heard of Taka.
Yes.
Where Autumn is now, the Middle Belt area there, the Chiefs and all that. I know all these places and I campaign there. That is what I feel concerned. When those who don't know how we arrived here, or why we arrived there, are now talking, no, one Nigeria, not negotiable. How can you say a country of multi-ethnic, multilingual, multicultural, multi-religious? You can't negotiate coming together.
So we accept, we have moved forward to say, yes, there is a real problem. We need to decide. On what basis do we structure the federation now? Are we going to do it on an ethnic basis? If so, how do you deal with the smaller groups?
Of course.
How do you deal with that?
No.
I can see Yoruba wanting to be one group. You know, there is a region, there is a culture, there is. But how do you deal with the smaller units?
Nobody is imposing anybody on anybody. That's why you ask for dialogue.
Okay.
And when you are saying 32 states, who created them? Is it not the military? Is that why I say it's a fraudulent constitution? And they created states in the north and the south. What did the ask take? They created local government in the north more than the south. What did you tell me? What's the basis of its creation? Nobody, it's arbitrary. At that time, every general wanted a local government in his village. For instance, Lagos and Kano were of identical population. It was out of Kano they created Jigawa. It's what I know. That's why when people want to falsify history, I feel annoyed.
So, sir, do you...
Hold on, I want to give the point out what you are saying.
Yes.
How can you collaborate?
The ethnic, yes.
To show you how arbitrary. Now, when they created all that, they created local government there, state there, Lagos and Kano that have identical population, they created gigawatts of Kano, and they had 74 local government in that area. Lagos, where the identical team still have 20 local government. And where the fraud comes in, I continue to say, where the fraud of this constitution comes in, these local government that have been created arbitrarily were now said to be the basis of distributing revenue. And that's what's causing the crisis now. Whereas, we have agreed at the London conference that revenue must be based on derivations. That was where Shivaulo told Saldana that how can you have VAT on tobacco, on drinking? You don't drink, you don't smoke. If my people who are drinking and smoking have repercussions, how do I treat them? What's the moral there? That was how they agreed on to it. All the prisoners, and if you want to take the trouble to see how very whether we are just being troublesome or something, look at all federations in the whole world, how they share their revenue.
Okay, so
I
follow you, but I'm also keen to see how do we move? How do we create this new structure that you think will solve the problem? Is it a national conference?
Of course.
So did you now see the possibility that between now and 2023?
That is where the fraud comes in. Don't tell me that.
Right.
Since when have we been talking of changing this constitution? The restructuring you are talking of now is not now. When you are coming in 1999, Absalom is still alive.
Yes.
Afenifere led Nadeko to say, no, we are not going to have any election with her until you change this constitution to where we are. You are not going to do that. We must have sovereign national conference. Have you heard that one before?
Yes. But the reality is that...
No, don't talk of reality. Yes. That is this artificial reality created by the military. No, you see, when people like you talk about it, you see, another thing to those of us who know the beginning. That's what you read about. That is what you read about those who want to defend the iniquity in the constitution. How did it come about? You have not asked yourself that question. And when I ask you, they say, 32 government, how can you collapse them? I say, who created 32?
No, but
that is very important.
Yes, there is.
Is it the wish of the people that created 32? Or the military came, now that we're in power, we do something in our favor? And I ask the question, very important, what is the yardstick in creating the local government? What is the yardstick in creating the states? Which you now bind us with now to say, no. You know, this is the constitution.
Okay, what I'm trying to get at is we have moved. We accepted by our action. The 1999, the elections were held.
No, don't go there. Don't go there.
Obasanjo became president. All these things have happened in the last 20 years. And now, we are almost moving to another election. And the parties are saying, look, do zoning, don't do zoning. So why do you stand on this? Are we to
let us educate the people?
Are we to drop all these processes?
I'm asking you a question you have not answered.
Okay.
You said you have been using that and all. And I'm proving to you that from the word go, we have opposed it.
I agree.
You agree.
But it still continued. It still happened.
Oh, no, hold on.
Yes.
We have no choice. It was the military that opposed it. And I was leading to the story that at the time we want to do election in 1999, we said, no, we are not going to do an election under this constitution on our own. It's on record. And you say, you remember we talked of sovereign national conference.
Yes.
And when Abdullah was coming in, after the death of Abacha, But for Absalam, Alliance for Democracy couldn't have been registered. That was one of the respect I have for him. When I say I don't trust any Fulani, I remember that he's not a Fulani, no wonder. No, I'm being frank.
Yes.
I don't come here to be politically correct. But whether you disagree with me or not, I'm just telling the truth.
Yeah, but part of what I'm saying, you have just proved it. You were part of AD. AD was a party. It took part in the.
That is what I'm telling you. We took part in the election under protest, and I'm proving it. The man is still there.
Yeah, but you still took part in the election.
No,
and you had a candidate.
No,
was your candidate. And he lost.
I will educate you. That is what you confuse the people with. We can't be confused. And I said, go and ask Absalam. We are not going to take part in this constitution unless you change it. Absalam said, I haven't got time for the conference. When you get your civilian review, you go and have it. Under what? And we contest that election to show that the people of Yoruba land give us the mandate that we are clamoring for. And we won in all the Yoruba area. You see, you have to follow this thing. So when that happened, and since we followed it, go to the record, my dear. Don't continue all this, want to draw wool across our eyes. They can draw it to those, many of them who are talking about this thing, they grew after 1966. How old are they? The story I'm telling you, they don't know. But sir, when we ask the question, how do you come about it? You can answer now. I said, what's the yardstick of local government?
Okay.
Is it the conference in Katsina that agrees to go out of this? No. The southern Kaduna people who are being oppressed under Kaduna state, are they Fulani?
Okay, let me bring you back to... Let me remind you, in 2014, there was a national conference, of which you are a member. 2014. 14, yes, but under Jonathan. And, a very beautiful document was produced. Did that satisfy you? Were you satisfied with that document produced by the 2014 conference?
I'm happy you refer to it.
Yes.
You see, that's why I say, if we meet honest people, we have no problem in Nigeria, except want to deny. When Jonathan was handing over to Buhari,
yes,
go and remember it. He said, this is the most important document. And you will see that all those who have been talking of restructuring and all that, if you don't know what this is, go back to that conference. There were 600 resolutions producing that conference were agreed to unanimously. And that conference, you cannot get the confusion to any time, anyhow, in personality, in quality, in diversity, across the board, the judges, the Muslims, the young men, the labor, they are represented. We passed 600 resolutions without vote.
So you'll be happy if we go to the 2014.
You go. Many of you talking about this 2014, you never read it. If you read it, you know what you are talking about.
Actually, I was part of the conference.
Yes,
I represented the media.
If you have read it, and Buhari is sincere about it, when they handed over to him, what did he say? So I put it in the archive.
So that's why I asked you, are you happy if it is brought out of the archive?
Well,
and say this is the basis for going forward?
Certainly. Not only that, the governor of Jigawa and the chairman of the APC, Boni, they came to me here. Jigawa sat down there. Jesus sat down there. We refer to this, it was even 2014. I said, I can't trust any Fulani man. For your information, do you know that I campaigned for Buhari? Have you read it? Have you read in my statement? That in 2007, I very campaigned for him. Why?
2007?
Eh?
The first time he contested?
No, the first time he contested, yeah. When he said he was going to do restructuring. Because when I say I don't trust any Fulani, I have personal friend among the Fulani whom I cherish today. FD Yusuf, have you heard of him?
Yes.
He's a gentleman. You'll be surprised. We became friends when I was in detention. You know, he was a radical northerner.
Yes.
You know that?
Yes.
Kangiwa, he's not a Fulani.
You mean Danjiwa? Colonel Umar Danjiwa.
These are all Fulani people.
So you can trust some Fulani. It's not all Fulanis that you...
No. I said, it is because the honest Fulani remaining now, they don't talk the way MDC talk. Those who are sincere with me, that should come together, they keep quiet. And I've said it openly. I give you an instance, and I want you to confess. They said the Yoruba said the Fulani must go, the issue must come. Is that correct? We say the Fulani carrying arms, murdering us, kidnapping us, raping us, taking our land, should leave our land. Have we asked Dangote to go? Answer me. Is Dangote not Fulani? Have we asked Abiy to go? The best of the investment of the Fulani, your richest men, they are all in the West. Have we attacked them? Let us face the truth. Let us face the truth.
Yeah. I want to ask you, what happened between you and the governor of Jigawa and that of Yobe when they came? Yes.
What?
You said they came here
to
discuss the 2014.
Thank you.
Yes.
So when we refer to Sovereign National Conference that Buhari failed
to implement.
Yes. When he was going to contest with Bakare,
yes.
Bakare said openly that it was in their program. Number 2. Number 3, when I consider to say Tinubu fully say had an agreement with him, because the Tinubu's party and his party, there's no common ground. CPC is a conservative party. Tinubu claims to be the product of our law. What is the meeting point? I described them then as a collaboration of incompatibles. What did he say? You know, what is number 1 in the APC manifesto? It's not restructuring. Why? Then again, whenever there is election, they are talking about it. In 2018 now, when the pressure was much, they set up the El-Rufai committee. What they recommend? Restructuring. Where are they? So Jigawa now asked me, when I said El-Rufai, he said, do you agree on the restructuring of El-Rufai? I said, that's why I say you Fulani people are not trustworthy. The restructuring you have been talking about, have you implemented it? To ask whether I agree with what? Restructuring is clear. Restructuring is not a political philosophy. Restructuring just says, restructure the country back to preferentialism. That's all. They say, And when I told him that I have campaigned for Buhari, there's no personal love between them. It's a matter of principle. You can't refute that. You two can't refute. Has the APC not been promising restructuring? Of late now, because the election is coming again now, Tinubu never said a word. All along we are talking about restructuring. He now said restructuring is must. Who are you deceiving?
Do you support Tinubu becoming president?
That's not the question now. I'm talking of the principle that bind us together. Don't draw a wool. Everybody does so.
No, but it's real.
Let us come to that.
Yes.
Because the question you are saying is, oh, we are so many. Let us destroy that foundation. It is those who don't want us together that are breaking that. And I've said it before. I said, I hope it will be too late for Buhari to know that those of us who are saying restructure the brothers are those who love him. Anything to the contrary that just deceiving.
So have you had a chance to discuss with Buhari? Have you ever met him to discuss some of these things?
To discuss with him?
Yes.
Better than Bakari.
No, Buhari, Buhari Bakari is running me.
No, I tell you. General Absalam suggested to me, want me to meet him. I said, I don't talk to deaf people. No, they don't have to be frank. You know why? He said he wanted an outsider to talk to him. I said, can I be closer an outsider than Bakari to Buhari? You answer that question. You see, many of you live very fast. Somebody who is honest about question. Here is somebody who stood by you, thick and thin. Was agreeable to be your running mate. And he now say that. How can you say you don't know what the situation is now? It is what you agree with before I run with you. He said it openly. He has not denied. And now telling me, that's why I say, all the time we are talking about that, Tinubu keeps quiet. And all his stooges, they keep quiet. So now that the election is coming, he now says, the country must be structured. Who will see the CB?
So you don't support now? You don't support?
I don't believe, not because I don't support. They said, once beaten, twice shy. You want me to trust somebody who has deceived you 3 or 4 times? Will you do that? Answer me. So I have given you 4 instances which I have challenged Adesina and Garba Shehu. Ask your boss. This is what I'm saying. Am I lying? That I campaigned for him?
Yeah, but a senior citizen like you, I thought you, if you have a chance, you could sit with Buhari and talk this, not through his spokespeople.
My dear. If he could betray, I will say, or spy Bakari, I don't believe I'm in a better position. Because when Bakari was supporting me, we are attacking Bakari. You are wasting your time. Bakari was trying to convince us. I said, this man, he has his own agenda. Unfortunately, many of you honest Fulanis, you allow this man to cast aspersion on you. And I used the language before, the Yoruba proverb, that one bad slave make us to condemn all slaves. All slaves will be bad. But once somebody who is a slave behaving in bad manner, look at this, no wonder you are a slave. So, and all those of you who are honest, who believe what I'm saying, you have got the courage to speak out. And I even said, why has Dangote not been talking?
Who?
Dangote. When they say, oh, blue like the Yoruba don't like, they say, it's my personal friend, we share the same birthday. One of his lawyers to his company, like this, is the Yoruba, he employs people, he doesn't discriminate, he creates, how can we hate that one? That's what we want. And for your information, go and find out. In the First Republic, when Shifawula was having a rapport with Sardauna, he offered to Sardauna some students. When Sardauna said, they are not the better, said, no, send some of your students to my school here until you build your own. It's on record.
Let me go back to
Tinubu.
Yes.
I want you to take note because I was looking forward to you.
Yes.
But when I say daily trust, I know what role you have been playing in the North. And let the Northern people be well educated. They should do blackmail laws. We have been living with the Northerners. These ass men, I grew to know them in Yoruba land. But with 6, not with AK-47. This is what you people are not looking at. They don't rape, they don't kill, they don't murder. You are not looking at that. But when people are now saying go, you are talking of the reaction of the people. You don't talk of the action that causes the reaction.
No, I think many people are looking at criminality in general. Many people, when they look at criminality, they don't really make it specific to the Fulani. There are criminals in all parts of this country.
Very good. I agree.
Kidnapping,
I agree. I agree. I agree.
So when we say Fulani,
my dear, I agree. I won't let you go away with it. This is what people are deceiving people do. When we are saying Fulani herdsmen, when Buhari came in, follow if I tell a lie. You say, why you say they are Fulani? Just as you are saying. They are not Fulani. You keep quiet. When the pressure was much, that was clear that everything there in southern Kaduna, at Igu, at Makurdi, is Fulani. He said, no, it's not the local Fulani, it's the Fulani from the Mali. North. You remember? Then I said, that is even worse. Foreign Fulani doing damage to your country, and you are the chief security officer to protect life and property. You are in charge of immigration. You are in charge of customs. How did they enter the country? Even after entering the country now, and you know that they are doing havoc to your people, is that the reason why you can't arrest them? Is that the reason why you can't prosecute them? And what that, when you don't arrest them? Is that the reason you turn a blind eye that they are carrying arms to destroy your citizens, which you are by the Constitution obliged to protect? Let us face facts. Let us face facts. Don't let us draw any wood against anybody. I'm anxious to meet you on this because I want the Northerners and Fulani to know our grievances. We have nothing against them except the. All right, another question. What is not the first president to be, not the first Fulani to president? Did we have this problem? Was Yar'Adua not here?
I think kidnapping
was it? No,
it's been going on for
the first president from Sokoto was
Shagari.
The first president after independence, after the military left.
After the military?
Before.
Not Shagari.
Shagari, my friend.
Yes, of course, Shagari. Yes. Show Shagari.
He defeated Awolowo.
Yes. Which you never accepted, of course.
No, that's politics. But to show you the dignity of Shagari, it was Shagari now who conferred the honor of president on Chief Awolowo. And held a dinner for him, to which I was honored to be present. And the government house in Marina. It's a Fulani.
It's one of the good Fulanis.
Eh?
I say one of the good Fulanis.
That's what I'm telling you, that nobody can say we hate the Fulani. But don't forget I said, the good Fulani now, when all this is happening, they don't talk, I don't know, just for their name. The Yoruba don't do that. If the Yoruba man do the wrong one, they say, no. But you don't do it. So I want you to carry this lesson home. Because we want to stay together. Just like now, we say, no, you don't want it. We want to stay together. And I also make these points. I want you to be on record. I have invested in one Nigeria more than Buhari. And I prove it. Boko Haram, where I told you now in Northern Kenya. In 1979, I spent 1 year there campaigning for the UPA under Chief Awolowo. If you don't want the Northern, what do I want to do there? And my father had a candidate, Paul Bassi. He died a few months ago. He was a member of the 2014 National Conference. And as I was there, I would also send more people to the North to campaign for his party. Is that the action of somebody who don't want the North? All these things I want honest Northerners to consider and not blackmail us. That's why I say Buhari should stop blackmailing us when we say we want to structurally. We are federalists. We are not separatists.
Thank you.
And another point I want you to carry to the people of the North. Mayor of Igbo, I don't know him. I've never.
Igbo.
And I told Buhari, Igbo is a reaction to the inaction of the federal government to protect these people. Before Igbo came out, I don't know him. The Fulanis were raping, murdering, and everything his people. So they said that his uncle came from America to invest in Igbo, made a farm, employed about 500 people. The Fulani raped the place. They kill him. They kill the Obazia. They kidnapped the wife of them. That was when Igbo came out. And the thing is, constitutionally, the federal government and state government has the right to protect life and property. When all this thing was happening, Buhari kept quiet, he didn't know. But when he go down, say, okay, I'm going to resort to self-help, which is guaranteed under the Constitution. The failure of the federal government, the failure of the state government to protect life and property, I protect myself. Hey, it's killing the Fulanis. You never said, how did it start? That is the way honest people should act. How did it start?
Thank you, Chief. Let me ask you, at 93, at 93 years old, you seem pretty strong to me. How do you keep well? How do you keep fit?
The grace of God.
Well, everybody says that. So beside the grace of God, what do you add to eat?
Well, I try to eat well. I try to do some exercises. But you can do all that and die the following day. But I
understand you have a very strong exercise regimen. Is it something you still do?
I don't want to place too much emphasis on that. Because I know a lot of my colleagues and others who do that and drop there. That's why the grace of God comes in. And in the Bible, it says you can, they say the Apollo can plant, and another one can water. Without the grace of God, we don't grow. So those of us who are strict Christians believe, well, whatever we are. I tell you, every day my children and my supporters don't like me to say, well, I'm telling you what I know as far as I'm so concerned. If you don't react to this, I can die any moment tomorrow. And I give this chance. As I interview me now, I can say, yes, I'm sorry. Let me go to the toilet and not come out. I say, will my children say, the devil has done his worst to remind them of 93? When they have been attending parties of their care of 80, 70, 60? That is it. And I would have put on to even be talking. If people can see the point, but when people like to take the narrative, like the APC and Buhari tried to do, oh, the other guy people are their way. When Akeredolu said they should leave the reserve area, the Fulani who are there should leave. They say, oh, they say the Fulani should leave. That's not right.
Beside politics, do you have any hobby? Are there other things you do just for?
No, I try to be a good Christian in my church and in my village. I do that, and in my community, I try to do that.
And family life? You have a large family. Do you have?
I have only one wife. We have been married since my wife and I were married at the embassy of Western Nigeria in 1960. The one that Rolo created to show the autonomy of the
in London.
London.
62 years.
Our first daughter celebrated her 64th birthday last October. I came back as a student to celebrate when she was delivered. You see, one thing I wish people should understand, honestly, When I hear people that say the Yoruba don't like the Hausa, it pains me. When I know how much we have worked, I know in 1979, we had somebody in Kano, somebody, don't remember his name now. We have never, all over. And when I was campaigning in Zamfara, I met one of the ladies in Zamfara at 2014 National Congress. She said, George, I just Zamfara. When we are campaigning there in 1979, our supporters there, they don't allow us to learn at the public schools. But the supporters of the action group there had a groundnut field. He uprooted all of them for the helicopter to land. So when I met that lady who's a judge at conference, I said, thank God. So this is what we have been fighting for. A woman, judge from Zamfara.
Yes.
You can remember?
I remember. I remember.
You can understand. So you know what I'm talking about. All the free education and free something. So then I didn't want it. One of the things I had against you was because I would not force him to be campaigning. You know, in your tradition, just sit down. Don't laugh. So, but you see, people like me who talk out of experience what we know, not what people tell us in propaganda. We fought all that just to be one. You see, want to be one, but don't confuse us. When you're talking of unity, it takes two to dance tango. And I've always said, and I told the people of Giga who came to me from APC that the unity that Buhari wants is the unity of the horse and the rider. Where the Fulani had the rider and where the horse in the south. It will not work. It will not work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chief Adebanjo. This has been a very robust conversation. Thank you for speaking in this episode of Reminiscences. And viewers, I hope you enjoyed the conversation and look forward to seeing you another time.